Hi, I'm Betsy BARBIEUX, and this is CAM Matters. Come join us today as we talk about the exciting topic of minutes. Who knew that there could be so much to talk about? So come join us.
Welcome to CAM Matters, Condos, Co-ops, HOAs, and beyond. Betsy BARBIEUX is an informational leader in Florida on community association living, rights, and obligations. She is an expert on the rights and obligations of owners as well as the association. If you live or are planning to live in the state of Florida, there's a good chance you'll be part of a community association. And by the end of this show, you'll know a little bit more about community associations and why they matter.
We're so glad that you're here. It's going to be an important topic today. We're talking about minutes when it comes to board meetings and everything that's going on.
And membership meetings.
Yeah, and you wouldn't normally think, well, you just
big
take
topic
notes.
of minutes.
Right.
What can be so exciting to warrant a show on minutes?
Because you've seen them done wrong so many times.
They're mostly always done wrong.
Betsy, let's talk about what is the definition of minutes? What
it's not a minute-by-minute detailed flow of the conversation.
Let's get exactly what minutes are or should be.
Minutes should be a record of the business. And by business, I mean motions.
Okay.
The decisions made by the board.
So Mary brought crumb cake to the meeting today.
And Ralph thanked Bob for the thank you note, for the thank you note, for the thank you note.
And
No. The people's names that would be in the minutes would be the people who make the motion.
Okay.
But we don't, it's not a transcription.
Okay.
It's not everything that everybody said. We're not going to say Sally from Unit 601 said this, and Ralph from 403 said that.
I thought that's what minutes were.
No, No.
Okay.
And and the thing is and
you're like, no, stop it.
No. And this, I don't know, maybe this might sound kind of arrogant, but I have typed minutes. It was my first job.
Okay.
In the law office.
Okay.
I was the corporate clerk.
Minute taker, right.
Well, no, I was in charge of the corporations at the law office. So I have typed articles of incorporation, bylaws, stockholder agreements, stock certificates, buy-sell agreements, employment agreements, professional employment agreements, and minutes.
Right.
I have typed those since I was 20 years old.
Okay.
So I think that I do know some things about minutes.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to cut to the chase.
Okay, just do it.
I'm going to cut to the chase. I'm afraid these are going to end up in court one day to justify the decision that the board has made. And if you have typed them incorrectly and haven't put in them what is required, or have put too much and now you have libel and slander.
Wow.
And if you haven't, at least there's two statutory requirements for minutes.
Okay.
If you haven't met those, which I yet have not found any that do, when I read them from other managers, they're not correct. They're not correct. And I'm afraid that I don't know whether it's your first line of defense or last line of defense in a court case.
Okay.
But your insurance company is going to also want to see them because there's potential personal liability for each board member for the way they vote.
Wow. Okay.
Personal liability.
That's
I'm trying not to shake my finger.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you said, possibly be able to go back to slander, and
think about the nasty things that people say, and then don't put that in there.
Wow.
Goodness gracious, no.
So when we talk about what's required for minutes, let's talk about those.
Let's say that on your agenda, and your agendas are identified exactly what's going to be on them. So let's say that on the agenda something says discuss replacement of pool heaters.
Okay.
So in your minutes, and I always try to make sure that each agenda item is mentioned in my minutes and that they track so that it's just orderly.
Right.
Let's say the board didn't make a decision on the pool heaters. Okay, so my minutes would say the board discussed replacement of the pool heaters, no action taken.
Okay.
That's it. You don't put all the conversation.
Bob wanted it, Jane didn't.
And they argued and fought.
Wow.
You don't put that.
Okay.
Or let's say that you had the item, discuss replacement of the pool heaters, review 3 proposals.
Okay.
So at the board meeting, a couple of the proposals were inadequate.
Okay.
So you need more information.
Okay.
Okay. So the minutes would say the board reviewed the 3 proposals for the replacement of the pool heater. Betsy, the manager, was asked to reach out to XYZ and ABC to get additional information and bring it to the next meeting.
Okay.
That's a directive.
Okay.
That goes in the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That is like an action
Call to
item.
action.
Action item.
Yeah.
And so that's a directive. I was directed to do something, so I will know. That helps me build the next agenda for the next meeting. Now I know to put the pool heaters and me back on the agenda, and I know that I've got something to do between now and the next meeting.
What was the result of your call to action?
Of my research. Right. Or let's say they decided to accept one of those proposals. The minutes would say the board discussed and reviewed the proposals. On motion made by Bob and seconded by Sally, the following was unanimously adopted.
Okay.
And then resolved that the proposal from ABC Company is hereby approved and the president is authorized to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate said purchase. The proposal is attached.
Okay.
That's it. So we don't
simple.
put all of the discussion in there. And that's why a lot of people don't want to be the secretary.
That's exactly
because
it.
they think they're going to have to.
I can't take shorthand. I can't do this. That's exactly what I thought.
No, if you saw my notes from a meeting, they look kind of like those.
Just short.
But that's
not a lot.
Not a lot, because you're not recording the conversation. Now, we have. And recently, one of my communities had a fire. So there was some additional information that I put in the minutes, but it was something like the insurance adjuster and the contractor discussed with the board this item, this item, this item, this item, this item, that item. So it was a little bit longer paragraph, but I didn't put all of the details.
And that's for a fire. That's for something catastrophic that happened with the association.
But the other thing that might not have been noticeable in what I just said was that in that motion, the vote of each board member must be recorded.
Okay.
So, and that's statute. The statute says that each board member present has to have their vote noted.
Okay.
So, if you've listed all your directors present at the beginning of your minutes, then you can say that it was unanimously approved.
You don't have to name each one.
Right. Okay. But if it wasn't, if it passed with a majority vote, then you need to say majority vote with Betsy and Larry voting no. So that you can, by deduction, figure out who voted for and who voted against. Right. Because there could be potential liability if the board gets sued for that decision. There could be potential liability for the board members who voted wrong and violated their fiduciary duty. And I didn't bring it with me, but if you don't think that board members vote wrong, you should see the list in the statute of the criminal penalties that are imposed on them if they do wrong things. So apparently boards do wrong. That's why you have director and officer liability insurance. But it only protects the board members if they do right. It doesn't protect you if you do wrong, duh.
But what about intentions? If your intentions are good, I mean, but you still do wrong.
Accidents, dumb mistakes, dumb decisions, bad business judgment is not illegal.
Okay.
It's just dumb.
Right. All right, Betsy, we're going to come back, and I want to talk about Robert's rules and how much we can discuss before we actually get to a board meeting and things like that. So we'll be right back.
Are you ready for a new career? Do you have skills or interest in management, real estate, construction, maintenance, accounting, strategic planning, project management, budgets, human resource management, lawn and landscaping, pool services, or any other expertise needed to operate a community association? If you do, community association management could be for you. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Florida Community Association Management continues to grow. Career opportunities abound.
Thanks for coming back. We are in the process of talking about minutes, but along with that, I think what's really important is understanding what you can talk about before the meeting happens based on Robert's rules and what you can discuss, what you can't, and things like that.
Yeah, and we're going to bring in the statutes too.
Okay.
Yeah. And if we were in a Kiwanis board meeting or a Chamber of Commerce board meeting or some other professional organization, you can talk about anything you want to talk about all day long, inside, outside the meeting, whatever.
With who?
With whomever on the
Okay.
board or not on the board that
Okay.
you want to.
Okay.
In our communities, because our board members have been elevated from what I call a prudent man rule
Okay.
to a fiduciary duty,
Okay.
which all of our Chapter 718, 719, and 720, each of those statutes elevates our board members to a fiduciary relationship with the owners, which means to me that a fiduciary handles or deals with other people's assets.
Mm-hmm.
So similarly, the decisions that board members make at a meeting could affect the owner's
Sure.
assets. Their greatest could be their greatest
Absolutely.
asset, their
Yeah.
home. And because of that, they get to come to our meetings, our board meetings, and hear those discussions that the board is going to make. The statute goes one step further, which causes a lot of confusion, and allows those owners to make comments to that agenda item.
What could possibly go wrong?
What could go wrong here? Well, boards don't have policies for how and when owners make those comments. And their comments, it's not dialogue, it's not Q&A. The board meeting is not an informational meeting for the owners.
Right.
They can get information, be given information a lot of other ways in today's media
Sure.
world.
Sure.
So they can get information other ways. Because of that, then, board members can't all get together and craft a motion and come to a semi-decision
Okay.
outside of the meeting.
Okay.
Now, they can talk by email, they can talk by phone, they can talk by text, but they can't make a decision outside of the meeting.
Okay.
So a lot of times, you don't know that you need a motion about these pool heaters.
Right.
Until you get there and talk about the pool
Right,
heaters.
sure.
You don't know.
Right.
So in Robert's Rules of Order, there's a really cool 2 pages called Robert's Rules of Order for small boards, which are considered 12 or fewer.
Okay.
And it allows for the kind of conversation that our boards and community associations need to have.
Sure.
They need to have conversation before there is a motion introduced.
Sure.
Before. So there's this pre-motion discussion, which may or may not result in a motion,
Okay.
because you
don't know.
you don't know
Right.
until you talk,
Sure.
because you haven't been able to make any of those kinds of decisions outside of the meeting. So that pre-motion discussion is what the owners get to hear. What the Division of Condominiums would like is that the owners have the benefit of the full discussion of the board.
Okay.
So that it doesn't appear that the board had all this meetings here
Sure,
and then
sure.
come to the official meeting and just do a motion, a second, a
Sure.
vote, and we're done. And
Right.
and the owners are going, well, where was the
happened? Yeah,
discussion on
right,
that?
that's right,
You know,
right.
apparently they discussed it outside of
Sure.
the meeting. So, but all of that full discussion does not go in the minutes.
Okay.
I'm just going to say the board discussed it.
Interesting. Interesting.
But the thing that I want too is to be sure that you've got the minutes dated, that you have a place where the meeting is, or Zoom,
Okay.
that you note the board members who are present, and you must have a vote of each board member present, somehow noted in there. Now, the other thing that board members think, and because you're using the big book of Robert's Rules of Order, in our organizations, because the vote of each board member must be recorded, that means the president, the chair, does discuss, does vote, does debate, can make motions. That our presidents, our chairs of our board meetings are fully participating members of the board.
That's a big misconception.
And that's a huge misconception. Yeah. Huge. So board members must vote. Okay. The other thing that is done incorrectly in our meetings is the use of the word abstain. Abstentions are only for known asserted conflicts of interest. If you're discussing the replacement of the pool heaters and Ralph, board member, is related to the pool heater company, then we already know that because that's how we got the pool company to give us a proposal.
Right.
We already know that. But Ralph is going to, when that topic is introduced, as it comes up on the agenda, as it comes up on the agenda for discussion, Ralph is going to say, I'm going to abstain from this discussion, and I'm not going to vote because of that. That is supposed to be written into the minutes. Sure. Ralph abstains because he's related to the contractor.
Conflict of interest, yeah.
So now Ralph isn't going to talk, he ain't going to say anything. But you know how they use abstentions? The word abstain? They use it to chicken out. They use it. You use it to chicken out from a vote.
That I don't want my neighbors to be mad at me, so I abstain from it.
Yeah, because what'll happen is there'll be this big, loud argument over pool heaters or something, and the biggest, loudest board member who is about to pop a vein because he or she is so angry, when all is said and done and the owners have chipped in and now there's all this big hullabaloo going on out in the audience and all, and there is a motion, a second, and it calls for a vote, the loudest, most angry one rears back in the chair and folds his arms and says, I abstain.
Wow.
Chicken out. Now, somebody on that board, and managers, I'm calling on you, somebody on that board needs to say to the person who just abstained, you can't abstain. You don't have a conflict of interest.
Wow.
The statute says that you are presumed to have assented to the action taken unless you vote yes or no, or unless you vote no.
Okay.
So, Mr. Abstaining Board Member,
you're going to count as a yes.
Unless you tell me no in 3, 2, 1, please record his vote as a yes.
Wow.
That's how that should happen. Presidents don't abstain, they vote, and you don't abstain because you chicken out.
Right.
Again, our board members are elevated to a fiduciary relationship, which is different than an ordinary prudent man rule, which is the ordinary prudent man standard is in the not-for-profit statute. But in our statutes, we're included in that, but we're elevated to a fiduciary, and you got to vote. You have to make a decision.
This is important stuff. Again,
see how exciting minutes can be?
It's very exciting, and how important, because if you end up in court, you had said you could have personal, I have to go back to that personal liability.
Yes. Board members could be. Now, it's not going to happen a lot. However, they've added this much in the condominium statute of all of the things that board members apparently have done wrong. Would say that they're not in the statute had they not happened. And so, yes, board members do wrong on purpose. And so we need to know how you vote.
Yeah. Betsy, if there's someone watching and they're like, I need some tutoring, I need her to look over some of my, would you do minute auditing?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll audit your minutes.
Happily, right?
I will happily audit your minutes. I mean, and let me just say one more thing before we conclude. There should be separate minutes for the membership meeting. Board meetings are board meeting minutes. Membership meeting minutes are membership minutes.
Keep them separate.
There should be separate. I'm using separate electronic folders. I'm using separate 3-ring binders. I don't want them mixed together. I need your brain to understand membership meeting minutes are for the members, which hopefully is one set a year.
Right.
And board meeting minutes are for board meetings. The two should never mix.
Okay.
And I find them all intertwined in the same, especially after the annual meeting, I find the board's organizational meeting mixed in the minutes of the annual meeting.
Okay.
And those are two separate meetings.
Okay, very good. Another amazing show. And this one on minutes. Please like and subscribe so that when a new episode drops, as they say, you'll get notified. And also share it with your friends. I mean, if you live in Florida, there's a good chance you're in a community of some sort,
yes,
and
you
you're learning
probably are.
all kinds of stuff from Betsy. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next show.
Thank you for listening to CAM Matters. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Information provided on this show is general in nature and does not constitute legal advice. Please contact a licensed attorney for your specific situation.